All right, fellas, here we're back on our Pokemon Masters video for the overview of Summer Cynthia. Yeah, okay. They finally did it. They finally did it, chat. They've broken the emergency glass. We're screwed into service tomorrow. No, probably not. Maybe. Yeah, okay. So, a lot of things we can say about this. All right, like, is it a good summer pick? Because usually seasonals go to unpopular characters. You know, we got Marley and all this year, like, yay! But then they went with Cynthia and Skylar for summer. Like, they just like, so we want to make money. Let's make money. And they, well, I think they're in the process, right? So you can say a lot about that. But we're here to talk about the character strengths. All right, we're not going to talk about it, you know, how it's amazing to have, you know, Summer Cynthia and how sad it is that it's not bikinis. I'm kidding. I'm actually kidding. Let's, you know what, I'm going to dig myself into a hole. So let's go ahead and look at the character's kit. All right. So, if I reset, no, it doesn't count. Okay, fine, whatever. So, at level 150, she has 236 in her defensive stats. By the way, she's a support field sync pair, as you could have seen. 717 HP to 326 speed. Some whatever offenses. So any immediate thoughts is that, you know, her speed is higher than her defenses. She sucks, right? Whatever. 60, we'll go into that in a bit. Come on. 6-star EX. She has 276 defenses, 366 speed, over 800 HP here, 260 offenses, and the field EX roll gives her another plus 20 to those defensive stats, however much of speed. 40, damn, 40 to speed, and I think, was that 60 to HP? Yeah, 60 to HP. So, I mean, those are some good HP and speed stats. Those are certainly some numbers on the defensive stats, right? So you're probably like, why is it that low, right? Like, she's a support, she's supposed to be taking hits. There we go. Becalming Beauty. The user's defenses are increased by 50% when affected by a status condition, protects the user from damage due to being burned, removes status conditions, and fully restores HP to the user just before it faints the first time in battle while it's affected by a status condition. Okay, so a lot with that. Okay. So 50% increase on 296 defenses. I forgot to pull out the calculator. Let's see ourselves. Let's do some good old quick maths here. Times 1.5, and yeah. A very, very respectable defensive stat. Those are definitely looking a lot better, right? So this makes her stats look a lot better. So that 444 defensive stat is a lot better than 296, right? So she's got very solid base stats for bulk, good HP. Honestly, the special attack's not great, but I mean, in any case of like where you want your support to do damage, I think Cynthia can frankly make it work because she actually has a pretty strong base power move here, and well, legendary arena, she's going to actually be able to do a little bit of damage. So it's actually good to see that. I honestly think her damage is going to look a little bit better than like what people might be thinking of, and you know, that's good, right? It's good. So yeah. We'll go back to talking about this in a sec. So she's got Water Gun for 1 gauge spammable move. This move has very little utility outside of a few things she has in the grid. I guess we'll go over it then. But Sinnoh Solidarity, amazing. All right, we love Sinnoh Solidarity. Applies physical and special moves increases to all allies and applies the defensive Sinnoh Circle, which reduces damage taken from moves and sync moves by 10% at base and powers up moves by 5%. Okay, sure. With a maximum damage reduction of 20% and maximum damage reduction of 25%, rather, and maximum power up of all moves by 20%. Reminder, these are moves and sync moves. They're not physical moves, they're not special moves, they're all of them. All moves will be getting an increase from this. And of course, you know, with Cynthia herself being a Sinnoh unit, it's not going to be like a 10% base and a 5%. This is insane. 5% base. Wow. But it will be a 10% buff to the damage because Cynthia herself counts for Sinnoh, and then an extra 5% for her damage reduction, giving at base, just with Cynthia as being the only Sinnoh character on the team, it's going to be a 10% power buff and a 15% damage reduction buff. Quite good stuff. And of course, you know, that goes higher with more Sinnoh characters. Peak Summer Muddy Water. People have been saying a lot about Peak Summer, huh? Yeah, fucking hot summer, I'd say. It's hot everywhere. Not even just the States. It's hot literally fucking everywhere. It is so bad. 2 gauge, 165 power, hits all enemies, never misses. Very good thing. No accuracy check. That's going to be very helpful in a lot of cases. Activates whenever she's affected by a status condition. Deactivates when she is not affected by a status condition. It never misses. It lowers enemy accuracy by 1. Raises the following stats of all allies by 1. Random stat. At random. Yeah, at random. Attack, defense, special defense, speed, accuracy, or evasion. Usually, random buffers are not like Okay, like I say they're not amazing, but like, random stat buffs can be very, iffy, right? If it's like the character's only real way of like buffing certain stats, then it can be iffy. But in Cynthia's case, I like it simply because she is not limited in her buffing, because in the trainer move right here, she can buff her all allies defenses by 4 and apply gradual healing to all allies and leave herself burned. So this is how she gets that status condition. So her defenses are very much guaranteed to be increased, and she's very much guaranteed to have this activated until she gets rid of that status condition, which, unless you literally fuck her over by using a full heal on her or something like that, she'll only get rid of it once she does that ability where she's about to faint, right? So yeah, she's gonna have those status conditions. And again, I like the random buffing in this case because I don't think it's a major issue if a character can't buff, like, oh, she can't buff attack, she can't buff special attack, she can't buff crit, most of the time in the modern, like, I'm talking about like a meta team, like, maybe if you want to use her with like older characters that can't buff certain stats, it's going to be a little bit worse, right? Just saying, it's going to be worse. Cynthia, I think for like a team of characters that are like obviously capable of buffing their stats, like most extreme example, if we want to go to water, Champion May, right? Like she literally buffs her special attack and crit. Which passive is it? Probably this one. Yeah, this one. Buffs her special attack by 6, and she's got like guaranteed crits right here. So, stuff like that. Those type of characters, they can buff their crit, they can buff their offenses, they'll be fine. Even like basically all newer characters don't struggle to buff their stats. Dahlia is an exception, but Cynthia actually does not struggle to buff her stats for the simple fact that in the grid she's got focus group, but we'll go over that later. But like you've seen, for example, he buffs his special attack and crit to max. Mixed Leaf, she somewhere in here. Yeah, it's special attack up by 4 on entry, and then the Kanto Journey Legacy gives her clutch critical, right? Well, Clavel, I'm pretty sure, yeah, attack up by 4, crit by 3. Bead, I'm pretty sure it's on entry for him. Special attack by 6 on entry, crit by 3 on entry. Most modern character champions, Serena, Lysander, I mean, I don't have to really go into all these examples. Like, most of these characters buff their own offensive stats. So the fact that Cynthia can't do that consistently, she can, just not consistently, is not a big issue for her. It really isn't. If anything, random stat buffs are good because it means that she can now buff stats that, she wouldn't be able to otherwise. Because if they gave her like mixed defenses and offenses, I would call it pretty unlikely they'll give her like accuracy, evasion, and speed. But the fact that she's got random buffs, it gave her those. So it means she can now be a good gauge managing support, being able to buff speed, a good accuracy check support for stages that love to debuff accuracy or love to be like annoying with the accuracy or buff their own evasion, and then evasion for your own team so that your team takes less damage in stages that don't, have like piercing gaze or anything like that, right? So I love random stat buffs in a character like this. This, in my opinion, is good. Also, it being an AoE attack and being able to guarantee debuff accuracy, that just makes your defensive abilities a little bit better there, right? So I do like it. Also 2 gauge. Not even like 3 gauge, it's 2 gauge. Literally, very, very good. And again, we went over the trainer move, buffing defenses. Again, good defensive utility here. Buffing all his defenses by 4, applying gradual healing to the team, and applying Sin of Solidarity. My only issue so far, really, with Cynthia is that she cannot buff ally HP or like apply team healing very well. It's just the gradual healing. And by the way, custom lucky skill, guarded entry 1, this is not worth it. Never use this. You're just bring like actually she's got vigilance in the grid technically, but if you want to bring vigilance, just bring vigilance or like something else. Just something that's not guarded entry. She can buff her defenses randomly. It's not going to be that big of an issue, at least not to me. Anyway, looking at her moves here, or passive skills, she's got these. I'm saying I went over this earlier. 50% defense increase when in status condition, which is going to be that burn that she applies here. She also removes her status condition and fully restores her HP just before she faints. It is like that Hugh passive, Hugh's Determination, where right before he faints, he fully restores his HP. Cynthia does the same thing. Problem is that unless the enemy is hitting you with a very specific move that can land a status and they actually land that status, obviously Cynthia is going to be struggling there to take any hits very, very well, right? Like her losing that status condition there is going to make her second wind kind of feel more like just like a one more attack and she'll kind of just die, right? That's the iffy part with this. Again, unless they can get you that status condition back, unless the enemy can get you that status condition back somehow and very quickly before she takes all of her HP and damage, because nearly 300 in the bulk stats is not that great. But granted, I will give her a benefit of the doubt because she does have, like, her defenses raised and she's got defensive utility with the Sin of Solidarity, right? She's got some damage reduction stuff. She will take more damage, 100%. But maybe she can take a few hits and survive for long enough. I don't know. We'll just have to find out, right? She's got Memories of Undella here, applying Damage Guard next to the user when it uses Sin of Solidarity. Applies Take All next to the user when it uses Sin of Solidarity. Broken. Broken. All right, like this is like the pinnacle of her kit, basically. Broken. Just straight up broken. Whenever she uses Sinnoh Solidarity, so basically, bruh. So she uses Sinnoh Solidarity, gives allies buffs, gives allies damage reduction, gives allies even more attack, right? And then she's also able to take all the next attacks, which is probably going to be sync moves. You know, it's going to be high-powered AoE attacks, like you have freaking Eruption or something like that. You know, these strong moves that are going to hit all your allies, you know, take their HP away, which, again, Cynthia's not great with team HP. She's pretty good with her own because of this full, effectively, like, max revive here. And she's got, like, her, you know, good on raw defensive stats. But now she can effectively make it to where the allies don't have to take as much damage because she is taking a brunt of it. Most of your team can probably take, like, your Surfs or something like that, like, you know, an AoE attack, right? Now, Cynthia makes it to where if those big sync moves or whatever, anything like that is going to go through and just hit her. And with her, you know, 444 defensive stats here, on top of her Sinnoh Solidarity being set because she just had set it, and damage guard. This makes the sync move do very, very little damage, all things considered. Obviously, you know, there's going to be exceptions, like a max power Giovanni with like Rising Tide and Inertia. Like, I don't know, I don't think he has Inertia out of all things, but like, you know, those are probably going to hurt a little bit. But if you are able to actually like be given to the stage, and their sync moves aren't going to do anything, she's going to be very good with bulk. This is amazing for pretty much any setup. I don't really know how else to explain this besides just like take a look in game. You know, any big ultimate battle sync move or any big high score event sync move, you know, you're going to be taking a few of those, and your allies, they might die to it. Cynthia makes that pretty much impossible, and she makes herself very, very capable of taking the attacker as well herself, right? And then finally, debut Sinnoh Defensive Circle. So she's got effectively 3 sets of the Defensive Circle. This does not give her the Take All Next effect, which is fine. I probably wouldn't want her to do that anyway, but it does give her bulk and the team bulk on entry. So those big like opener attacks that a lot of stages actually do love to do. Think about Annabelle. She opens up with a fucking Eruption, right? Well, Cynthia makes that more bearable because she's able to set the Defensive Circle and apply team damage reduction, right? So I actually do like her setting this ability. May mess up sync countdown a little bit, and like queuing sync moves and stuff. It can be a bit iffy because like if this fades as soon as like a character is about to use a sync move, it'll allow the enemy to queue up a move. That can be kind of iffy, but you know, that's about like the only downside I can think of to this passive. It's good otherwise. And that's just her base kit. I mean, 1 out of 5 she's got clear-headed. I mean, it's not really that crazy in the grid, but like add defensive stats and stuff like that. I mean, I think she's good. Random stat buffing, guaranteed defensive buffing, which is what you want. Gradual healing to the whole team for those attacks that, you know, Cynthia can't. Prevent allies from taking 2 instances of Take All Next with damage guard and a defensive circle and 400 some defensive stats with a max revive available in her pocket, all for taking damage so your allies don't have to. Chat, is she good? Is she good, chat? I think she's good. Also, let's not mention that her ability to buff evasion and guaranteed debuff accuracy every time she uses her buddy move is helping your allies take even less damage, unless it is like, again, Swift, which hits through accuracy checks, or if the enemy has piercing gaze. You know, enemies miss, you don't take damage. We love to see that, you know. But accuracy is pretty... accuracy and evasion is good, like in the legendary in most of the time in this game, and it can be pretty good in like a high score event setting. So those game modes and damage challenge. So actually, in the majority of the game modes, frankly. But I believe stages like, you know, Champion Stadium, probably Battle Rally by Association, probably most battle challenges, and also like the ultimate battles, they do tend to have a lot of checks towards accuracy or like mitigation of accuracy debuffs at least. So be careful of that. Be careful, right? So I really do like Cynthia's base kit though. I think it's good. I think it could be better for sure. Like she could definitely use some extra abilities to help out, but she gets a lot of those in the grid. So let's take a look. 2 out of 5, she gets Team Hit Me Up, Gauge Refresh on her buddy move, Circle HP Recovery, Circle Gauge Up, Refreshing Rain, Racing Rain, Water Gun, Gauge Refresh, and Quick Cure. By the way, I failed to mention this in the base kit. 1 set of Rain. This is a good gimmick check ability. It's going to get rid of like Dana's Hail, Annabelle's Sun. You know, those are the 2 big ones I can probably think of. Nita's Sand, right? You know, those big ultimate battle stages, and any stages that set weather. Like, good for Moltres. Legendary is an example, just as an example. It's good, right? It's good. So I do like Cynthia being able to have all of those abilities there, and having like setting rain. Setting rain is a good gimmick check, and also of course, you know, put her on like a rain team with Champion May. It's giving you more sets or more extension rather of that EX rain, right? Anyway, going back to the 2 out of 5 here, I like this 2 out of 5 a lot. Refreshing Rain plus Circle HP Recovery. I mean, she sets the circle 3 times. She's going to have it set up a good amount of time. That's going to be giving her HP Recovery. On top of the Rain, which she's going to set every time she uses her sync move, and it's going to be extended, giving her more instances of this healing. That's good. plus the circle gauge up and racing rain, giving you more gauge as well. That's good until you can proc those speed buffs with the buddy move in order to help out with the gauge that way. So again, I do like her having these gauge abilities, having effectively double tiles of gauge stuff and circle HP recovery on 2 abilities that she's going to have active very often. Like again, she's literally going to have her Solidarity Circle on entry. So, you know, you're going to use probably the trainer move and then probably go for the Muddy Water. You're immediately getting some healing stuff out of that, right? And then she's got a Sync move. You're going to get more healing out of that. You set the circle in order to take, you know, the enemy's next attack. You take a lot of damage. You can heal it up with double tick healing here pretty effectively, and also the gradual healing that she's applying, right? So I actually do like these healing tiles, like in this case. Gauge refresh for Muddy Water and her water gun. I mean, yeah, gauge stuff. It's going to be helping out a little, even more for that case until she's actually able to buff the speed there and manage gauge herself just fine. So it's good to have those. Decent, nothing crazy, but it's pretty good. Okay. Team Hit Me Up. Great tile. Great tile. Very, very, very good tile to have at this move level. 2 out of 5. Being able to buff all allies' stats, only attack, defense, special attack, special defense, or speed, though, at random, whenever she is hit by a move, right? Yeah, whenever you use it by an attack move. So you get that, you've got yourself random buffs, and you also use the buddy move and you get random buffs. Double the chance to get defensive buffs, double the chances to actually buff ally offenses, double the chances to buff speed, which I think is one of the bigger things for her. Not accuracy or evasion, sadly. That is still locked only to the buddy move there, but it is still good. So I do like extra chances for her to be able to do her job of buffing random stats. I don't think, is it as good as Shauna's? I think Shauna was like the big character, Detective Shauna, Costume Shauna, whatever you want to call her, in order to buff random stats. It is stat steal, right? This is team stat steal. Reliatory stat steal, which only buffs her stats, sadly. Team stat steal here as well. So, I mean, Shauna does similar things here where she steals stat, or like, yeah, team stats still. She steals ally stats, I think, when attacking, or when the user's attack move successful against it, right? So similar stat stealing abilities. Not stat stealing, but just stat raising. So Cynthia doesn't steal stats, she does raise them, though. Those are kind of like characters I think are somewhat similar. And I think one of Cynthia's minor issues is she doesn't have immediate team healing, but she makes up for it in other ways, right? They have to build in these flaws somehow, or else fucking for a summer unit should be way too damn good. Though I would not really have a problem with that. And granted, Summer Guardian is really good. Anyway, regardless, at 3 out of 5, we got ourselves Sinnoh Defensive Circle Extension. I love this fucking ability, bro. Sinnoh Solidarity Initial Propulsion. Sync move, team moves up next. Burn hit, gauge up 2. Focus group 9. Staggering 2 on water gun. Entry team evasion and vigilance. Okay. Let's go. Let's just go down the list. So the burn hit gauge up. This is very good until she can get her speed raised. This is how she manages the gauge for herself. Helps the gauge up for the team. This is only up 2 gauge though, by the way. Even though this is an AOE move, because it's not based on how many enemies she hits. It's just based on using the move. So she's guaranteed to get 2 gauge back when using water gun, and she's guaranteed to get 2 gauge back here when using muddy water. So she's going to be actually having more gauge when using water gun and staying the same when she uses muddy water here. By the way, just something I only really just now realized. Run less and burn on her. I don't know why it took me this long to realize the fact that wait, no protection damage from assassins. Okay, I was an idiot. Okay, yeah, I literally read the ability and I can't think of it for some reason. But yeah, we love ourselves Marvel Scale, bro. Not Marvel Scale. Is it Marvel Scale? No, Marvel Scale is what reduces damage when you're at full HP. God damn it, Milotic. What's your ability? Oh, it is Marvel Scale. What the hell was I thinking of? What? Oh, multi-scale. Duh. Multi-scale, Marvel Scale, same damn thing. This is why she's got this, by the way, because this is Milotic's ability. 50% defense increase, though it buffs both of Cynthia's defenses by 50% in this case. Anyway, yeah, I don't know, a little brain fart there. But anyway, good gauge ability, amazing to have, very good until the speed gets raised. It loses a lot of value after, like, the team's speed is raised, but that's going to be RNG dependent. So if you want to take out the RNG of needing speed buffs, then, well, here's some gauge management stuff. On top of all the other stuff we kind of went over for the 2 out of 5 abilities. 3 out of 5, she got Sync move, team physical, and special boost 1, giving herself, or the whole team physical moves up next after using her Sync move, which you're going to do it anyway. I mean, she's got good offensive enhancement naturally. I mean, the circle itself, plus the extension, let's just say she's got extension on that circle. I don't have to explain why that's good. That's obviously really good. Is going to be giving allies extra up to 20% power buff here to more Sinnoh allies on the team, but, you know, more usually 10% if it's only Cynthia. She's also able to set Rain, which could be EX Rain if you're with Champion May, and her setting the circle here gives allies immediate physical and special moves up next, and then another note of it here. So despite the fact that Cynthia is not super consistently setting Rain or super consistently buffing moves up next, she does have the good offensive enhancement in her kit pretty much built in. she's going to be good for buffing ally damage, right? Very good in general too. Like the fact that she's got rain is more so just for like a gimmick check or for those rain teams she wants to be run on potentially. But she is a very good just general support. You can throw her on pretty much any team and have her be good as long as she's not like overlapping your weather. Like you could probably run her on a fire team without much issue as long as you have a way to work around her, you know, setting rain instead of sun, which granted you could do if you run her with like Brendan or in, you know, the upcoming Arc Suit Silver, who are not going to have their EX Sun overtaken by Cynthia's rain, right? So that's good to see. But anyway, good general stuff, good offensive enhancement. I don't think this is a tile you're going to be picking up too much simply because its location in the grid is terrible, and it's only like one moves up next pretty much the first time she sinks. So it's good for an enhancement, but it's not like extremely valuable to pick up pretty much at all. Sinnoh Solidarity and Initial Propulsion. If you are running Sync Countdown stuff, this can be fun. I could see some fun stuff with this, of like Dojo Gloria as a partner or something like that, where she does -1 Sync Countdown pretty much every single time she uses her training move. Also, I think, doesn't Champion May have -2 on entry because of the primal thing? Base. She reduces Sync Countdown by 3. So if you want to get, I mean, you know, fun little triple setup there, Dojo Gloria, Champion May, and this Cynthia, you can get yourself a lot of Sync Countdown pretty quick. That could be very funny. Anyway, that's when you use the ability. So I'm not saying you should use Sinnoh Solidarity extremely early, because of course she's able to set it early. And I'm a very big fan here of the extension. So this is what I would love to have. You're going to be using this more than likely either right before Cynthia uses her sync move, or like right after she uses her sync move, or you don't have to use it at all and can just use it whenever you know the enemy's about to use their sync move. So you can make maximum advantage of that take all next with the damage guard, which I think is more than likely what you're actually going to do, right? So you can, it's probably going to be more of a hope that this could work out, you know, when the enemy is about to use their sync move, which could be good if you fail a quad Q or something, right? So this can get your sync cycle back on track. Anyway, that was a kind of a tangent. Entry team evasion up. This just takes a little bit of RNG out of her being able to buff evasion. This is I would imagine this is a decent legendary gauntlet tile. I'm not sure if you would pick it up though, just given the location in the grid, but I mean, I'm sure probably Racing Rain or Refreshing Rain and like Circle HP Recovery are probably good recovery tiles for her in that game mode. So, you know, maybe you could get around to picking this up, but I think more often than not, where this is probably the most useful tile, again, is probably going to be a Legendary Arena or the high score event. I think you're mostly going to be probably skipping this and just kind of relying on the random evasion buffs from this ability here. But again, maybe the high score event, you could see legitimately good usage in this in a case where he's just like dodge the enemy's attacks and have Cynthia, you know, use damage guard next in order to take those sync moves that you can't dodge, right? She could be very, very fun or very, very clutch for like a not 500 point, but like maximum strength run, right? So I could definitely see that. Staggering 2 on Water Gun. This is the only real reason you're going to be using Water Gun on top of, like, I guess maybe for like extra gauge with this or Water Gun gauge refresh, but this is the real reason you're using it. 30% chance to flinch. This might single-handedly make her solo against Moltres possible, but I do not want to think about that. Holy shit, that's going to be miserable. Because you have to, oh god. I want to think about someone, please solo Moltres with this damn character. It's going to be fucking god-awful. I mean, it's possible though. She's got one set of range, so you set that on the first bar, spam the buddy move, hope you get like the right stat buffs for her, and then you have to basically spam Water Gun afterwards. Oh my god, I would say it's doable, but fuck, you're gonna have a bad time. Anyway, flinching's good. Great in the high score event. Great in pretty good in the damage challenge rather. Great in ultimate battles if the enemy can be flinched and if you can actually like land it at an appropriate spot. It's a great thing to have. Flinching's amazing. Amazing gauntlet thing. Amazing. Pretty damn strong in the high score event as well in order to like... And this is just another way for her to help out defensively. I mean, if the enemy's not attacking, then you're not taking damage. So she's still doing her job, right? I wish it was higher. I think it should have been staggering 3. 40% flinch chance is definitely more reasonable. And trust me, that 10% makes the fucking difference, let me tell you. But anyway, I mean, having flinching at all is going to make people like... It's going to make runs possible. It's going to make runs possible. Not fun. I ain't going to say fun, but it's going to make them possible. And hell, it might actually make them a little bit fun because, I mean, some stages, like, you know, 3 or 4 flinches make the difference in the fight. So get lucky enough. Anyway, another great tile, Focus Group 9. If you really are running her with older characters or just characters that somehow can't buff their crit, I think there are very few recent characters that like can't in terms of like offensive like, strikers and techs and stuff like that. But if they can't, then, well, this ability is great. And the fact that this is not reliant upon being randomly buffed is also really good. So having crit buffs for her is going to be a solid ability to have just as an option if you do need it. So now Cynthia can buff literally every single stat in the game. There's no stat in the game she cannot raise: attack, defense, special defense, speed, accuracy, evasion, and crit rate. Is it random? Yeah, but it's still good. Overall, I like Cynthia. My only issue, I think, with her, if I were to point out a flaw, if this is one thing that if she had, she would be extremely good. NPR on this. If she had NPR on this move, you would not have to rely upon random buffs to get your defenses up. You would be able to get your gradual healing for the whole team again, so you're not having to, like, fully rely on Cynthia to take all the attacks, basically, or, dodge the attacks for your team. But more importantly, you get burn back. If you could get this back right here, this NPR, if you could get this procced, you could set that burn again once she removes it after she fully restores her HP. And I think they realized how very good that would have been, so they never gave her NPR. That is my only real complaint with this character. I get why they didn't give her like immediate healing in the form of potions or mini potions or something like that. Kind of. I do think she still would have been very good with it. Just replace Water Gun. Keep her money move. That's it. Though I think it would have been very bad to have a character be outwardly designed where she literally cannot do at some point she cannot do anything. So maybe that's why they give her Water Gun so she could actually do something even if everybody moves deactivated and she's used up all the MP on these. But I don't know. Give her mini potions at least. That would have been great. But hey, I'm fine with this. I like this character. I like this kit. I think she's a pretty good generalist support. She can work pretty well on rain teams with like Champion May and stuff, I would imagine, just because of having that one set of field is going to be pretty good. I'm not going to say she's going to be better than like Signasuit Chris, though I would say she is better than Signasuit Chris, just kind of in general. Chris is better for the rain setting for May, but I like Cynthia just better as a support character. It's also going to depend upon Chris's 4 out of 5 and 5 out of 5 though, whenever she gets that. But I definitely don't think she's better for like a rain team than like Signasuit Mina. Signasuit Mina is just really fucking good. And I don't even know if I would say she's better than Signasuit Mina in general. Again, Signasuit Mina, really fucking good. But I also think that those characters could work very well together in a dual support setup with Champion May as like the central character, if they wanted to do that, or if you wanted to do that. Whoever wants to do it, I don't care. Anyway, though, I like the character. I like the kit. I think she's pretty good. Is she a must summon? Certainly not. If you have like these pretty good rain supports or just good supports generally for your team, you can skip Cynthia, right? You can skip her. You can go for someone else. You can do whatever you want. I don't think her, and I don't think Skyla either, are like top tier, god tier, like S+ tier sync pairs. I think they're just I think they're good, they're great, and they definitely have uses and can definitely be used in a lot of harder content. Just not a character you will need, right? Or need especially for like a water type team or any specialist team. That's kind of the thing with these general supports, is that they are good and they can be very good, in a lot of cases. But if they're not specialized in a role of like buffing a certain type, then well, they mostly are going to be left out for, well, characters that can buff those types. But also, I think the big appeal of these generalist supports is that they're going to be good for any like newer player or any player that is like trying to fill gaps in their teams where they don't have a good character that can like, buff certain abilities or anything like that. So Cynthia being a solid, just really solid, really strong defensive support with some decent offensive enhancement in her tools is what is kind of making her like a little bit valuable for those type of people. But if you've got your team sorted out, you've got your great supports for all your types, Cynthia is probably not needed. So that's my thoughts. Anyway, well, let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'm not trying to make this a half hour. We're already nearly there. But yeah, I'll see you later. I hope you all enjoyed. Good luck on your summons. Peace.